Welcome, everybody. Go ahead and get settled in. We'll get started in just a moment. Get my Zoom windows arranged so I can see all of you and see my chat. I think that's a lot to ask for a tiny little screen, isn't it? All right. I'll move all of your faces out of the way too. There we go. Now it's going to look like I'm looking in strange places, but that's all right. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see all of you. We'll get started in just a moment. Let you get settled in. If you would like to start tossing some introductions into chat, we would love that. We always like to know where our teachers are joining us from. If you'd like to share anything about yourself, your name, where you're joining us from, what you teach, that would be great. We'd also love to know a little bit about what your experience is with CodeHS. Have you done anything with the Intro to AI or data science courses yet? We would love to hear that as well. All right, we'll get started shortly. I recognize a few names, but I'm seeing, oh yeah, I'm definitely recognizing names. There we go. And I'm seeing some people who I might not have met yet. So I'm very excited to have you here today. All right. Hello, Carlita. Ooh, from Fulton. Cool. We love our Fulton County teachers. I love all of our teachers. We've worked with Fulton quite a bit. Hello, Cynthia. Oh, cool. Hey, Liam. Excellent. New to AI. Cool. You'll definitely get a chance to explore some AI today. We'll talk a little bit about the course overview as well. Excellent. Welcome, welcome. Wonderful. All right, I'll let you keep doing that. I'm going to go ahead and get us started in just a second here. We've got just a couple more people joining. And we'll be sending you a ton of links your way in just a little bit. A lot of those links are included on the question parking lot as well. So you'll have access to all of those. CodeHS team, are you hearing me okay yet? Okay, perfect. All right. So welcome, everybody. I'm going to keep one eye on chat as you're tossing your intros into chat for me. It's great to be here with all of you today. My name is Lori, and I am a PD specialist here at CodeHS. And I am super excited to be able to take you through the Teaching Intro to AI and Data Science workshop today. We definitely will not get to see everything. These are two different courses, and short as they may be, in terms of length for the courses, there's a lot packed into these. So we'll talk about some of those details with these two courses as we go through the workshop today. And joining us, we have several CodeHS team members on the back end to support us during this workshop today. You've seen a ton of messages coming into chat from Joni. Joni is another PD specialist, and Joni, wave to everybody. I think you already did. I thought I saw you. Yep, there's Joni waving. So Joni's another PD specialist here at CodeHS. We also have MR, and she is another PD specialist here at CodeHS. She also, we all love the AI and data science. So I think I almost had to fight her for this today. So I won. And so MR is joining us today as well. And we have Emily from the support team joining us also. Emily is super fast, and she's going to be helping you out with many of your questions too, and correcting me if I say something weird. So thank you all for joining me today, and very excited to be here with all of you. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so our first link of the day is for the slides. Now, if you happen to be in a place where you can grab those slides, you definitely can do that right now. You can either scan that QR code, take a picture of it for later if you like, or grab that link. You can access slides at codehs.com/teach-data-slides. Joni just tossed that into chat as well. If you don't want to grab the slides right now, if you're just on one screen, I know that can be kind of difficult sometimes. You can absolutely get this link after the workshop too. We'll make sure to include this in the follow-up email. If you have questions today, and we welcome any and all questions, we would please ask that you go ahead and toss those into the question parking lot. Due to the number of people in the workshop, we want to make sure that we don't lose questions. If we're not able to answer a question during the workshop, we will definitely come back to that and answer that after the workshop also. But in order to not lose them, we just ask that you add those to the question parking lot, please. You can access that doc with the QR code or from codehs.com/teach-data-questions. Just a moment there to grab that. So please toss any questions there. That will help us free up chat. Welcome to Mexico. We've got somebody joining us from Autonomous University of Hidalgo. Very nice to meet you. All right, let's go ahead and check out the next slide. All right, so we've already started doing this. We've started doing some introductions in chat. If you have just joined us and you haven't gotten to introduce yourself, please feel free to do so. You can absolutely add your name in if you'd like. Tell us what you are teaching if you'd like. Have you used CodeHS before? Do you have an experience with Python? That's actually something I'm super curious about too. How much experience have you had with Python? And do you have any experience with the intro to AI or data science courses? It's totally okay if you don't. We're going to explore today. Oh, awesome. Used intro to Python with Tracy. Good, 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 good. I'm happy to hear that. Tracy is an awesome way to get into Python. I have used that with so many age groups of kids. It's just one of my favorite things. All right. Oh, hey, welcome. Just keeping one eye on chat for a second. We'll let a few of these come in. All right, Tracy the Turtle. Somewhere in this office, there's a Tracy the Turtle, stuffed Tracy the Turtle. I need to get her out. I have a bookshelf now behind me. I can set her up there. I need my Tracy and my Carol. So I'll have to do that after this workshop. Hey, Nancy, it's good to see you. Oh, awesome. Basic knowledge of Python. Cool. Awesome. And you don't need to have a background in Python for this workshop. It would be helpful to have a little bit of programming experience or some experience with Python for the data science and intro to AI courses. These courses will use Python, but we'll talk about that in ways that you can help develop your skills with Python. All right. I'll let you go ahead and toss those into chat if you would like. Whoops. Get my clicker back. Okay, so excellent. All right, so today we've got a lot packed in. We're going through our virtual check-in right now, and we'll actually get you enrolled in the course in a little bit, or in the workshop section in a little bit. Then I'm going to take you through a brief overview of not intro to CS and Python. I didn't change that. I'm going to show you actually a little overview of data science and intro to AI. So yeah, not Python. I think I saw Python and thought, yeah, it uses Python. But yeah, we'll focus on the courses at hand for today. Then I want to take you into a bit of a sample lesson. And with the lesson, you're actually going to have some time to explore a bit and talk a little bit with other teachers as well about some of those lesson components. So we will do that. And we'll actually take a lesson from the data science course and focus in on that for this. Then we'll do a little bit more lesson exploration in data science and also in the intro to AI course as well, to give you a little time to explore that. And I always think that helps the most is when you get a chance to actually talk to other teachers and play with the course. I know that is exactly how I learned Python, is because of CodeHS and actually going through the course. And that's going to be one of the best ways to do that. Then in the last part of this workshop, we're going to be doing a couple of breakout sessions that you can choose from. So if you'd like to come chat a little bit more about the AI and data science courses, you can definitely do that in one of the sessions, or you can always head to Joni's room and she's going to talk about how to customize your course. The cool thing about customization is almost all of that can be done on free or pro. So you do not have to have a pro plan to do that. And I think, especially with some of these slightly second level courses, like what we're going to be looking at today, customizing even becomes more critical. So, and then we'll wrap up our workshop for today. Oh, thank you so much. So in CodeHS, Intro to Computer Science Python 3, awesome course. Thank you. I love that course. It is absolutely one of my favorites. All right, a couple more people joining. There we go. Okay, so now if you do not have a CodeHS teacher account, please take a moment to browse out to codehs.com/signup, and you can set up your teacher account. It does not take long. This is not a long process, so you can definitely do that today during the workshop if you need to. And if you're having any trouble with that, definitely drop a note into the question parking lot and another member of our team will help you get your account set up. Quick note too, if you are just setting up your account for the first time today, it will take us just a bit to get you verified. We make sure we verify all teacher accounts, every teacher account, including free teachers, of course. You all have access to, once you're verified, you will all have access to the solutions. And so we don't want students to have our solutions. So we go through a verification process. So just keep that in mind if you're creating it for the first time today. You won't see the solutions just yet. Once you have either created your new account, or if you have an existing account, go ahead and sign into CodeHS. Then please browse to the URL you see on the screen. And Joni just tossed that into chat. But go ahead and browse to codehs.com/go/01C0A. And that is going to enroll you in our workshop section for today. Oh, awesome. Cool. Paid account. Yeah, the pro accounts are amazing. You have access to so many amazing tools that make your life as a teacher so much easier. While we're getting people enrolled in the section, I'll mention that when I was a teacher I worked in a K-12 environment for 20 years. And during that time, I was the tech coordinator / network admin for the district. I was the IT department. I worked for a small school district in South Dakota. And so that was me. And for 10 of those years, I was also the high school computer science teacher. I was privileged to teach high school computer science, including Python, JavaScript, web design, APCSP, and a ton of stuff. But I also was very privileged in being able to go out to the middle school classrooms. We didn't have any required courses for middle school kids. So I did a ton of Girls Who Code, tech clubs, just specials for them to help them bring in computer science into their courses as well. And I even got to go down into elementary. And during that entire time, I was using almost that entire time, since 2014 to 2019, I used CodeHS. I unfortunately was one of the teachers who never got to use the pro plan, but I still used CodeHS to teach my computer science courses and Girls Who Code and all those other groups too. Let's see how we're doing here. And take a breath for a second while this reloads. There we go. All right, we're getting there. Perfect. Love it, love it, love it. Excuse me. So one of the things that we do get asked, let me see, is what does this look like when I enroll in a course? So if I click on that link, excuse me, one more time, it's going to take me to a screen like this. If I click join section, it's going to enroll me as a student in this course. Now I'm also on as a teacher in this course, and I can actually flip between those by clicking on this little drop down. And if I get into the workshop section at any point and I think, well, what now? Where do I go now? I don't know what to do. No worries, because what I'm going to do is actually, there will be a little home button down here in the bottom left corner, and I can click and come back to this screen. I can always also click on my sections. I have a few more sections than you might see here, but I'll see my teacher page at the top, and down below, I'll see my student page, and I'll see Teaching Intro to AI and Data Science, and that will always get me into our workshop section. And we'll talk more about what we're seeing in the workshop section in just a little bit. All right, if you're having any trouble enrolling in the workshop section, go ahead and drop a message into the question parking lot, and another member of our team will help you get into that section. And we'd love for you to be in the section, because that's how you get to participate in the events today, or in our activities today. All right, one more thing. We would love for you to be able to get a certificate of attendance for coming to our workshop today. So take a second to click on codehs.com/teach-data-attend. And that will tell us that you were here, and it will let me do a super simple click to get you into or get you a certificate sent out. I will email out certificates probably end of today. End of today. And the follow-up email should be coming out for this session probably tomorrow morning. So expect that tomorrow at some point. All right. That was a ton of logistics. So let's stop with that. And if anybody has any questions, I don't see anything in chat. And if something comes up that would be better addressed live, another member of the team will go ahead and say, hey, Lori, take a breath. We got a question. So go ahead and drop those messages into question parking lot at any point. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, we want to start by taking just a quick look at those course overviews for the data science and the Intro to AI course. Now, the way you can see those is by browsing out to the catalog. Joni just tossed this link into chat, and I think I don't have it open, so I'm going to go ahead and click that link and let that open. And while that's thinking about opening, I'm going to go ahead and go back here. And we're going to start by taking a look at the data science course. By the way, here's a little thing I'd like us all to ponder. It's not really a big deal, but I would love to know, what do we think is correct, data or data? Is it a long A, like data, or is it a short A, data? I know it is a hot debate, MR. I even Googled it. I'm thinking it might be a linguistic thing. Some people were very adamant about why they say data and why somebody else says data and how incorrect the other person is. I do too, Emily. Emily said, I sometimes use both in the same sentence. The reason I thought of it is because I just caught myself using both versions of it. Depending on who I talk to, if somebody else says data and I'm saying data, I will totally switch midstream and start saying it that way. I don't know which way I like better. You'll hear me say it two different ways. So cool. So short A, I think is right. If anybody has the reason for why, I think one is a British pronunciation. One is the Americanized pronunciation. Could be right, could be wrong. I did not do that much investigating on it. So just a little curious. All right, so the data science debate will continue. If anybody has more details, please share. So let's talk a little bit about our data science course overview. I'll go with that one for now. So in this course, this is going to be a web or a Python-based course. And students are really going to be using some different libraries to work with data. So in this, you're going to be working with the Pandas library and the matplotlib library. The Pandas library is something that's used for tables. the matplotlib library is something that can work with graphs and actually include those in the code editor. They're really cool. You're going to have a chance to play with these a little bit today. And hopefully you take some time to experiment with them, because I just love seeing how these look on our code editor. So that's really one of the reasons we focused on Python with this, is because of the use of these libraries. These are really what we wanted to use for the data science course. Students are also really going to be learning about some of those higher level conceptual topics and ethical concerns. You're going to see a lot about bias in the data science course and ethics. So it's really, there's a lot of good possibilities and opportunities for discussion in this course. So the module breakdown that we're going to see here for data science is right here. There are 4 different modules in this course. And in fact, let me go ahead, jump out to the catalog and show you how you can find it out here. I'm just going to do a quick search for it. There's data science. Data science. I'm totally tongue-tied now. Every time I think of it, I want to say it the other way. So Joni did just toss the link to the course overview into chat. If you are at the catalog, you can also get to that link by clicking on Learn More. And you'll see here that this is a semester-long course as we have it laid out. There is a lot packed into this. So we have it for about 85 contact hours, and we'll talk about some different options with that in a minute. And this is most definitely a high school level course. This is not a bad entry point, but you will see that there are some more advanced Python concepts here. And if you're hearing a strange noise, it's because my dog is sneezing behind me. So hopefully he finishes quickly. But I thought I should explain, since it sounds a little chaotic on my end. So back to data science, high school level course, a little bit of a second level course. But this is definitely something where you probably want to start with is data science, 85 contact hours, semester timeframe. So our modules will look like this. We're going to start with the data science lifecycle module. We'll go into data science for change, data storytelling, which I love. If you have not done a lot with data storytelling with students, I think this can be such a fascinating concept. How you tell stories with data, how you interpret data. And then we get into the last module, data science for business. You can also see the syllabus for the course here, and that's going to give you a lot of really good pacing information too. So when we head back into the slides, I just want to show you a little bit more about what you're going to see for each of these modules. So first of all, the data science lifecycle is our first module. This is definitely the one that is going to start building that base of knowledge for your kids. In this module, you're going to see information or exercises and activities about statistical questions, types of data, using Python and pandas, and that's that pandas library, central tendency and spread, which, by the way, is one of the lessons we're going to take a look at today. Then it goes into pandas data frames and using functions. One really, really cool thing about this, and we won't get into this too much today, but for those of you who've worked with data science a little bit, one of the really great things here is that in the code editor, you can actually upload files to the editor. So if you've got a spreadsheet, you've got a CSV file that has all of the data you want to use, you can actually upload that directly to the CodeHS editor. So really, really cool feature to expand what you can do in CodeHS with data science. You can also create data frames directly in the code editor. I think this is one of the things I really love about this course. I think there's not a lot of places that do a lot with data science for high school students. And to be able to do all of this directly in an IDE that's web-based is just awesome. And this is actually an example of something you can create here. This is also an example of something that can be created directly in the code editor. So you'll actually be able to create bar graphs like this. You can also create box plots, histograms, and so many other things. And I'll show you where that documentation is so you can play with that. Now, the second module in the data science course is the data science for change. I really like this one too, because this is where we really start to talk about bias in data collection, and even bias in interpreting results and analyzing results. So this is going to actually start in this unit. We're actually going to start taking that idea of the data science life cycle. So everything that we learned in that first module, and we're going to keep going through that through all of these different lenses. So we're just going to keep building on that knowledge that we're setting up for our kids. So in this module, we're going to take a look at big data, which is always fascinating, bias in data collection, filtering data in pandas. So we're going to use that pandas library, but we're going to learn how to filter all of that big data. And this is really going to help show kids why it's critical that we can filter and what big data actually means. We're going to learn more about data cleaning and data visualizations as well. In the third module, data science for business, we're going to tackle some aggregating data, merging data, more data cleaning, more functions. So we're definitely developing our Python skills more, and more about bias. So bias in analyzing data. And then in that next, and I think I got those two swapped, but that's okay. In data storytelling, we're going to take a look at data visualizations, subplots in pandas, trends and correlation, and linear regression. So we definitely will not be looking at all of this today. We'll mainly be focused in on the life cycle module. So that's data science. Now, keep in mind that these are two separate courses. So that's our first course. Now let's take a look at Intro to AI. Now, with Intro to AI, this course is another semester-long course. And it's going to also be Python-based, but there's going to be less coding, a little bit less coding here, at least to start. But this is going to be a definite second level type of course. Your students will definitely want to have a little bit more background in programming. There's definitely some supports we can add in for that too. But know that this one's going to be a little bit more difficult. So in the AI course, students are going to explore the implications of AI on society. I think you can go so far with this discussion. I just think about all of the movies you can bring in. One of my favorite movies still to this day is Minority Report, just because of all of that, the way technology is used in that. But there's so many movies like that, and so many discussions about how AI impacts society. So fascinating topic. Then students are also going to learn important programming concepts that enable the use of AI. So we'll get into that Python here as well. So our module breakout is going to look like this. I'm going to go ahead and head back over to the course catalog for a second. We'll go ahead and find this. So Introduction to Artificial Intelligence. Joni just tossed that link into chat so you can get out to that course overview pretty easily from there. I'm going to click on Learn More. Let us take a look at this course a little bit. So you'll see this one is also a high school level course. And this, like I said, definitely more of a second level kind of course. This one has about 75 contact hours. Again, it's for that semester time frame. And the units that you'll see here include What is AI? The What is AI unit is awesome. It's a great way to get into the course. I don't think there's any programming in that module, if I recall correctly, but it does start talking about what is it, how's it used, and what are those societal implications for AI. Then we get into some AI in gaming, which gaming is going to definitely spur some interest from your kids. AI and chatbots, and creating predictive models. By the way, I didn't mention this, but if you keep scrolling down on these course overview pages, you'll see a video about some of these examples. You'll also see some demo programs. So you can definitely check out Connect 4. You can run that and see what that looks like. And I'm actually not going to do that. There we go. We'll just get an error. That's fine. I don't know why I clicked that. That was very silly. So go ahead and play with that on your end. But you can do that here, and you can also do that in data science as well. So you can check those out. So let me jump back to these slides. So we'll have a little bit of a chance today to start exploring the what is AI module. And you can definitely go further than that if you have time today. But these are the ones that I've included in our workshop section for us. In this module, you're going to be exploring things like what is machine learning, neural networks, natural language processing. And then with AI and gaming, your students will actually be able to start building a tic-tac-toe game. And this is definitely a challenging game, but a ton of fun. And I think it's so awesome when you connect the idea of AI into a real world gaming experience here as well. One thing that I keep forgetting to mention too, these courses are both very project-based. So you'll see there's several projects built in as you go, mini projects in data science and these kind of projects in artificial intelligence as well. Then we just saw a quick, and there's our Connect 4 game. So definitely another really cool one. I don't know how many of you remember Connect 4. I may be of an age where I have this. So awesome game. Now you can build it digitally. Then in AI and chatbots, your students will actually get to explore the idea of what is a chatbot and how to create a chatbot. Fascinating topic about how to build something that will respond to you. And then that final model, and this is, or the final module, and this one is definitely a challenging module, creating predictive models. Super fun, definitely a little bit more of a challenge there. But again, just like with the data science course, we are just going to continue building skills as we go throughout this course until we can get to that creating predictive models stage. So I mentioned that these can be pretty flexible courses. The course that we looked at the overview on for data science is the semester long. It's about 85 hours, 85 contact hours, something like that. And it includes these 4 modules. So data science, life cycle, data science for change, data science for business, and data storytelling. We also have a 1-month-long course. So if you wanted to just start exploring data science, you could do that by looking at data science lifecycle and data science for change. You could skip those final 2 modules that might be a little bit tougher if you've only got a month or so. And if you just want to introduce kids to the idea of data science, then that data science lifecycle is the module for you. So that one will take about 2 to 3 weeks to get through. Sometimes that is exactly what you need. This is a great kind of course that you can even build in, say, after APCSP, after APCSA. If you want to just introduce kids, you could definitely do that in other courses as well. So lots of flexibility for how you can use this. Oops. Then the AI course options are also similar, very flexible in how you can use this course. Again, we have that semester course option down here at the bottom of the table. This one, I think, was 75 contact hours, something like that, 75, 85, somewhere around there. And this one includes, again, what is AI, AI and gaming, AI and chatbots, and creating predictive models. There is a month-long version where you can focus in on that first unit, what is AI, and the second unit, AI and gaming. Then the introductory module to AI will take you about 2 to 3 weeks, where you can just focus in on what is AI. And I think there is so much value in at least giving kids the option to see the AI unit. What is AI? Help them develop an understanding for that. I think it's so common lately, and it was just yesterday that I was listening to a new episode of a podcast somewhere talking about AI and what are the dangers of AI? Are there dangers? What are the ethics behind AI? So super important topic. So great way to pull this into any other course is to pull in this first unit for the course. Now, additionally, these two courses can work together to create a full year course. So both of these courses by themselves, all of the content are a semester long. And you can pair these together pretty well. So you can start with data science and go into intro to AI to actually make a year-long course here. Now, one of the questions that we do get is, why did we pair up data science and intro to AI? Well, you don't necessarily have to do one and the other together. You can certainly grab intro to AI and use that. You can do data science by itself. But it's nice also if you're planning a more advanced course, a more advanced programming course, specifically one that's geared toward Python, to be able to pair it up like this. Data science is a great way to start kids into the idea of Python and data analysis, creating those data stories. And it also has some nice transitions into intro to AI. Again, you don't have to have data science to do intro to AI, but know that there's a nice little connective tissue there, but nothing that would disrupt their learning if you only wanted to do intro to AI. Questions about anything so far? Cool. All right. And I feel like I'm talking super fast. This is a topic I get kind of excited about. I love Python, and I love that we have some of these more advanced second level courses now. Whoops, there we go. So now let's go ahead and we're going to start getting into our first lesson for today. Now, if you've done some other workshops with us, you'll know sometimes Lori will pretend to be a teacher and she will make us do the student lesson. I am not really going to do that quite so much today, but I am going to talk through some of the first parts of this activity and give you all a chance to try out this activity too. I will also go through a little bit of this lesson just to help you get a good, get your bearings in the lesson and have some idea about the syntax, the Python syntax here. So we'll go through a little bit of that before we get into the lesson. Now, that being said, this is definitely not a workshop that's meant to teach you Python, but I do want to give you a little bit of background in case maybe that's not your language. Maybe you're doing JavaScript. Maybe you're coming to this with virtually no Python or no programming background. So hopefully this will help a little bit. What I do want you to think about, however, is keep in mind the various lesson components, because there's a ton of different ways that you can approach these. And think about how you can use them with your particular group of students. So that's what I really want us to think about as we go through this. And of course, have some fun, because this is fun stuff. So before we get into it, I want to talk just a little bit about how courses are broken down in CodeHS. And I'll do this also in our section so we can see that too. So for anybody who's used CodeHS before, you know that our courses are broken down into modules. I like to say modules or units. So remember, we've got those 4 modules in data science. Here, you can use the word module and unit interchangeably. And the modules are broken down into lessons. So when we expand lifecycle, the lifecycle unit, we can see all of the lessons that are included in that unit. And when we go a little further, we open up those lessons to see the actual assignments and activities included here. Now, in pretty much, in all CodeHS lessons, I was just thinking, I don't know that there's a whole lot of variation from this. With our CodeHS lessons, as they come out of the box when you're creating the courses, you're typically going to see that they all start with the content. So you might have a video here to start with, and I'll show you how you can get to the slides as well. And then it's going to go into usually some kind of formative check-in or a formative assessment check-in type of quiz here. And then you're going to see some other types of activities. Now, especially in this first activity or this first lesson, you might see some connections. We've got a little light bulb here That means that we're going to see some more information about that topic. And we're also going to see some possible free responses too. For my part, I love the free responses. I think this is a great way to get kids really thinking about what they're doing in the course, really thinking about the activities there. And for those of you who've known me from other workshops, you'll know I was an English teacher in what feels like a lifetime ago. So anytime I can bring in writing, I do. So you'll see some free responses here as well. But other times you'll see some coding activities. So in our sample lesson, this is what we're going to be seeing. It's actually broken down, and this will give us some of those coding activities that we can try. So before we get into the lesson, I want to jump out to the course. And Joni sent out the link directly to this lesson. So if that's helpful, you can definitely click on that as well. I'll give you a little overview of what we're seeing in the course though too. By the way, all of you as teachers will be able to definitely grab those links. We can show you that later where we grab those, but you can absolutely grab those links and help kids stay on track as you're going through class. Oh, for the lesson plan. Okay. Hey, Joni, let's try. Yeah, there we go. Okay, try that next one. I didn't even notice that.
Sorry, I just put the lesson in there, and let me know when you want the lesson plan and I'll go out and get it.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
All right. Yep, try that one. Okay. So when you're in your section, in the workshop section, this is what you'll see once you actually go into the section. You'll see all of the different activities that we've included for you today. Now, this is not by any means, can you still hear me okay? There we go. This is not by any means all of the course. We just added the first couple of modules here. Let me know if I'm getting laggy and I'll go ahead and shut my video off. I think I might be. But this is what we've included for you today. So we've included workshop resources. Joni's going to show you how you can add things like this during the breakout session toward the end of the workshop today. But you'll have the slides, the workshop survey, and also the Padlet that we're going to use during the breakout sessions today too. Then we've added in the very first unit, so that data science life cycle unit. And when we expand this, we'll see all those lessons we were talking about, and we'll see all the activities when we expand one of those lessons. So I can see all of those activities here. So now the lesson that we're going to focus on today is actually the 5th lesson in the data science lifecycle unit. I know it feels like, wow, we are skipping a ton of stuff. Hopefully I'll be able to get you up to speed with some of the things that we've skipped. And really, we just want you to be able to experience what is in this course. Now, one super nice thing about the course too is that it's not going to be very often that students have to write code completely from scratch. Very often what you're going to see is a lot of starter code. They'll be able to play with some code, and they'll be able to change just smaller pieces of that code to actually learn more about the code. There's going to be a lot of opportunities too for you to help provide some scaffolding for your students and some real support for them as they are going through this activity or going through this course. So again, from the workshop section, we're going to the data science lifecycle unit and the 5th lesson, series and central tendency. And we're going to expand that lesson. Now you don't have to click on anything just yet. I just wanted to point out where we're going to be at. I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to the slides for just a moment and take us into a quick class opener. So this is something I'm just adding into our class, and I would love your help on this, please. This is kind of more like a, little bit of a pre-assessment. I want to see what my students know. Do they know some of these terms? So got a data set here and my question, and I'd love for you to answer in chat. What is the median of the data set shown above? Give you a moment to think about that. 9, 9. Cool. What is median? What is median? Can anybody help me with that? Man, I don't know what median is. Maybe I do. Yeah, the value in the middle, right? The value in the middle. And it's not the midpoint of the values. It's really just that midpoint number. So keep that in mind. So yeah, in this case, it happens to be 9. And if you're like me, you're just going to reach your hands out there and just start counting inward. So that will actually get us to that median value. All right. Now, next question. What is the mode of the data set shown above? I see 15. A few people have answered 15, 15, 15, 15. Cool. What's mode? Yeah, what is mode? Boy, you guys, you all answered super fast. So what is mode? Help us out. The most often appearing value. Exactly. So in this case, this is going to be the number that appears, or the value that appears most frequently or the most often. So in this case, we have 15 is listed twice. And so that happens to be our mode. What happens if what happens if 3 is listed twice and 15 is listed twice? Can I have 2 modes? I can have 2 modes. So I might have more than one mode. So something important to keep in mind. All right. Thanks for doing that, everybody. Oh, one more. How do you find the mean of the data set? Why did I leave average in there? Oh, silly Mrs. Golday. How do you find the mean? I would totally take out the word average for my kids if I was doing this in class. And you can speak if you like. You can unmute. You can tell me. So if I'm looking for the mean, yeah, sum all the values and divide by the total numbers. So this is something that I like to point out to students, because when we're seeing a data set like this, we can see all the numbers, it might be easier to find the mean here. But when we start getting into big data, that's when we start to think about what is going to be, how are we going to be able to do this more easily? And frankly, I want to do this more easily here too. This former English teacher doesn't like finding the mean all by herself. She likes to program it. So I love it that you're all finding the mean for me. That is awesome. One more question. And this is going to be true or false. There is no outlier in this set. True or false? I see a false. False, false, false. So clearly we think there is an outlier in the set. Which number is the outlier? Yeah, 67. Exactly. So when we're thinking about the term outlier, we're thinking about all those values, and the one that is significantly different than the other ones, or has a significant, it's significant in some way, that's going to be our outlier. Sometimes it's not always obvious what the outlier is, but in this case, we can get a pretty good idea by looking at that. Oops. All right, so now we are going to get into our series and central tendency lesson. So thank you for doing the little pre-quiz, or the little pre-assessment there. Definitely something I would do with my students too, to see where are we starting from. Are there some terms they are not going to know? And that's definitely something that'll be covered in this lesson too. So we're going to head out to series and central tendency. Going to look like this. We just headed out to that. And we're going to start on the video. So you can all come with me and click on that very first activity, the 1.5.1 series and central tendency video. We're not going to play the video together, but at this point, I'm actually going to go out to the course. Oops, not that. And I'm going to click on the activity, series and central tendency, the video. I can either click on the bubble or I can click on the video itself. I'm going to click on that video. And from here, I don't want to watch a video with all of you. I want to keep talking. So instead of watching this video together, I'm actually going to come up here to the top navigation bar and click on slides. And Joni just tossed the link for the video link into chat. So if you're not sure where I'm at, you can go ahead and click on that. Now, here's the really cool thing. If you haven't done this before with CodeHS, you don't always have to watch the video. You can always click on slides to teach the slides through direct instruction or to talk through these. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be learning in this lesson. So this lesson is called Series and Central Tendency. So when we're thinking about the term series, we're really thinking about creating a list in Python. So we're going to be creating this one-dimensional list called a series. And we are, that's what we're going to be starting with. And we're going to be using pandas to do that. So a little bit of syntax first, because you're probably thinking, wow, that's a whole lot of stuff, Lori. Can you please tell us what that is? So that first line that we see in this lesson, the one that's highlighted, import pandas as PD, this is our import statement. So in order to use another Python library, we have to import it. So we're going to use that with import pandas. That's going to pull in that pandas library. And we're going to call it PD. So that way, instead, we've got a way to actually call this when we're using it in the program. So import pandas as PD. Then in the next line, where it starts with pies, we are really creating a variable here. We're creating something, we're creating a place to store our series, and we've named it pies. All right, so we've named it pies, and we're assigning it that pandas library, and we're going to make it a series. So this pd.series is going to indicate that we're creating a series, and we're going to store multiple values in that variable. So again, we've created a variable called pies. It's going to be a series of values. And these are the values that we're going to store in that list. Okay, so we're storing these strings and a value here, a little number value, pumpkin, pecan, 3.14, lemon meringue, and apple. And now I'm hungry. So there's that. Now that we've created our series, we're going to print that series. So this is the way we print something with Python. We use a print statement, and then we put the name of the variable that we want to print in parentheses. So when we print it, this is what we see for output over here on the right-hand side of our slide. So that's what we print, and you're probably thinking, well, what is this? These are indices. If we do not specify an index number or an index value of some kind, Python will by default begin numbering the indices with 0, and will continue until the list ends or until that series ends. Now we can specify. Maybe we want to change those to letters like we see here, A, B, C, D, and E. So to do that, we're going to add a second parameter into our series. So if you take a look at our syntax for pies, okay, we've created this place to store a series. We've stored our series here. Inside of those square brackets, then we put a comma, and we indicate that our indexes will be this. So this is how we can actually change those index numbers, from those default zeros or default numbers to these letters. You can actually make your indices anything you want. So if we take a look at this in terms of an example here, so maybe we want to see the weight for cats at a shelter. This is going to be the weights. That's going to be in our series. We're going to determine the mean. Okay, so add all the numbers and divide that by the number of items in the set. We're going to determine the median. And then we're going to determine the mode, so the number that appears the most often. So that's the data that we are going to be working with in this particular lesson. So we start by creating the variable. So we create that series that we can use to store, or create that variable that we can use to store the series. So we've called this one cats because these are about cats. You can call it anything you want though. We're going to say, all right, we've imported Panda and we called it PD. And then we're going to say it's going to be a series and we stored it here. When we print it, this is the values we get. We didn't change the index, so it'll be default. Now, if the index is hard to read or we don't know which cat goes with which number, notice what we can do. We can actually change the index to be the cat's names. So that's how we would do that. And when we print it, this is what we see then. So now if we want to find the mean, there's an easy way to do that. We do not have to write a formula. All we have to do is to call this function on the series. So it's already built into pandas. We can simply call mean on cats and it will display the actual mean for our data set. So again, I just use a print statement. I say, I want to print cats, but this time I want the mean of all those values. So I can follow that up with dot mean, open parenthesis, closing parenthesis, and I get the mean. I can also do that with median, and I can do that with mode. So super relishes anytime I don't have to write a formula because I will mess it up in some way. It's good learning for me, but this is even better yet. So your students can absolutely use those functions and call those on your data sets to get those values. Think about how amazing that gets as that data set gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So the lesson continues on and goes into additional info about when it might be better to use a mean, when it might be better to use a median, when it might be better to use a mode. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail because I want you all to have time to play with this. And that gets us through our lesson. So now at this point, I want to point out a couple of things, especially if you're joining us for the first time. How do we navigate out of this lesson? Because you're probably following along with me on your screen as well. A couple of ways you can navigate. I've watched students very often come down here to the bottom, click on the next activity bubble in line. Best way to do it, though, is to click on next right up here at the top. That's actually going to trigger that submission and make sure that that looks like it's been submitted for the student. So you'll see that then. All right. So little task for all of you now. You just had a quick lesson. I'm going to give you a couple minutes, maybe 3 minutes. We'll see. To take the quiz. Joni just tossed the link to the quiz in chat. Go ahead, take some time, take the quiz. I promise I will not pull up your responses on the screen, but I'll have all of you help me answer it in a moment. So let's do 3 minutes. And actually give me a thumbs up in Zoom to tell me when you're done. Okay, I'm seeing quite a few thumbs up, a lot of dones in chat. Thank you for doing that too. Sometimes I know yep, Okay, there's a moment I was scared. I thought I didn't unmute. Sometimes those reactions don't persist. So perfect. And if you didn't get through, that's completely fine. So now I need your help, everybody. Let's complete this. Help me. So number one, which code snippet could be used to print the following series? So I've changed the indices to cheetah, house, cat, giraffe, and human. And those are the values. Which one of these options can I use to print this? I see option 3. Let's give it a whirl. Woohoo, good job, everybody. Okay, so question 2, which measure is best to use to avoid outliers from corrupting the average? Now, we didn't go through this lesson, but that's okay. Let's try it. Number 2, I'm getting a whole lot of 2s. Woohoo, good job. And question number 3, which data value is most likely an outlier in the data set below? Let's see the first one. Okay, I'm seeing lots of 1s. Oh, and I see 26. Perfect. Let's try it. You guys are smart. Good job. Now we're going to go ahead and submit this because we do want to submit that to our teacher. I hear she's real cranky, so let's go ahead and submit that so she sees we did it. If you didn't do it, that's okay. And if you'd prefer not to submit it, if you're not done, you can always click on that activity bubble on the bottom or click on the link that Joni will send in chat too for the next activity. So the next activity that we see here is going to be an example. And this is going to be a great place for your kids and for you to play around and get used to the code that you see here. I'm going to mention that, and Joni just tossed this link into chat if that's helpful. Now, one of the things that happens often with the CodeHS courses is that we've got examples all over the place. We use them after our quizzes and all of our coding courses, and they are a phenomenal tool for instruction. But sometimes if we let our students go on their own through the courses, they will skim right past the examples because there's nothing explicitly laid out that they need to complete. So I definitely suggest spend some time on these examples with your kids. This is a great way to help students get used to what they're learning in that content and really force them to go through these and think about what's happening here or guide them. Maybe the word force isn't the right word to use there. We want to guide them through these. One of the things that I love to do with an example is to simply read the example. If any of you are familiar with some different PRIM computer science lesson planning strategies, one of the strategies there is to actually have students read the code. It's a great way to help students to really provide scaffolding and support for students as they're learning a language or learning a new concept, but just simply have them read this. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more real estate by clicking on that. There we go. So if we take a look at this code, we can actually go through and start reading what we have here. We can be reminded that, oh yeah, in line 1, we're importing the pandas library and we're naming it PD. And we can really go through this and figure out what's happening. A really great way to do that too is to use comments. Doesn't have to be anything special, but maybe you have students explain what's happening there. So if you've got those students who need to level up a bit, this is a great way to do that. By the way, teachers, if you are not terribly experienced with Python, this was actually a strategy I used as I was learning new languages, sometimes along with my kids. I would go through examples, I would comment them up, and then I printed them out and brought them with me to class because that helped me learn it too. So really great strategy. Read what's happening here. Once you read it, another really cool thing to do here is to actually add an additional challenge. And that's going to be another part. Oh, cool. I was going to say another part of the PRIM model. Wendy just dropped into chat. We use the PRIM model also. So yep, PRIM is definitely where you predict code, you run the code, you investigate, you modify, and eventually you get that to the point where students can make their own. They make their own program. But throughout that entire process, we're providing the scaffolding and support that they need to get them to a place of ownership of their learning. So love that you're using that, Wendy. I absolutely love Prim. If you'd like more details about that, we can definitely share some more. But this is another great part of the Prim strategy, or the Prim model, the Prim stages, is to take these examples and give students another challenge to try with these examples. Maybe you just add something else. Maybe you want them to change that, change the series to something else. Maybe you want them to take it out, make it be the default series, or add something else. But a really great way to help them level up and provide a low stakes kind of scaffolding and support. So that's the first example. If we click on next, it'll take us to another example. Excuse me. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and close up that panel on the left. And here is where we can experiment with another set of series and indices. We're not going to spend a ton of time here, but this is just another really great place to come in, take a look at the comments. This is where we're really creating a series using something called a Python dictionary. And the key becomes the index. Now, this is also a good place to point out to students the Docs tab. If you haven't checked out the Docs tab, this is going to be a great way to help you also experiment with things that you're seeing here in the data science lessons. If you're thinking, Lori, I don't know what a dictionary is, go to that Docs tab. Notice under Panda Basics, I can learn all about dictionaries here. I can see syntaxes, I can see what it is. And if I scroll back up to the top, I can also see other things, statistics, series, lists. Once we get to data frames, I can see that here as well. So this is going to be a great place to go to get some documentation, not just for yourself, but for your students too. A really great real world example of how programmers every day in their life are looking up documentation. All right, so let's go ahead and click next. And now at this point, I want to give all of you a little bit of time to play with some of those remaining activities that you're going to see in this lesson. So I just want you don't have to complete anything, but go ahead and start with the hot dog series. And that's the next activity. And it's actually an exercise. And read through it and see if you can start working through that exercise. I'm going to give you just a few minutes to play, and then we're going to come back together, talk just a little bit about lesson planning strategies, and then we're going to do a little bit more experimenting in some breakout groups. All right, so I'm going to be quiet and let you experiment. And actually, this is one place, I will mention this, where students might be starting with a pretty bare minimum amount of code. Now, if that's tough for them, you can always help them out. They can always go back to one of those examples and grab some code. They can use the Docs tab. Teachers, if you're feeling like, whoa, I need more support than that, click on more and then click on solution. And you can actually see the solution here. So I'll let you take a minute, or a couple minutes to go through some of those. Take a look at what you have here. I'm going to mute for just a bit. Okay, so just for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and come back together for a moment because I really want to give all of you time to work together in a breakout room too. So let's go ahead and just take a quick look at not necessarily what we were looking at here. You'll see there's also a nice little kind of wrap up to this lesson where you're really starting to think about the conclusions. What kind of conclusions are we drawing from this data? And why really are some of these conclusions misleading? Why is it misleading if we use median sometimes, depending on the data set? Why might it be misleading for mean and things like that? So really great way to start analyzing data in this lesson. So I'm going to jump back over to the slides for a moment. I want to just talk briefly about a few lesson planning strategies. So here is where you can definitely take a look at lesson plans that go along with these lessons. Now, I will mention that free teachers have access to and support. If I'm saying that's wrong, go ahead and correct me. I think it's the first 5 lessons, first 5 lesson plans. You only have access to a handful of those, but I know those even helped me when I was teaching because I would glance at those, I would use those and structure other lessons based on some of those strategies that I saw. But there are some great, really cool strategies in the lesson plans. So if I take a look at the series and central tendency lesson, here is where, and Joni just tossed the link into chat if you want to take a look at this one. You can see the objectives, all of the activities are linked here. And lesson plans truly are your go-to for the lessons. Everything you need is linked on lesson plans. I truly don't look for another resource. I find these first. All the solution references are also linked. Now, I will say solution references are available to free and pro teachers, so everybody has access to those. You do not need the lesson plans to get to them. Problem guides are more of an enhanced solution reference where it will show you additional things, including the correct solution, but it will also show you common questions students might ask. So if you are a pro teacher and you've got access to the problem guides, this is definitely something that I use even today when I'm learning a new language. If I'm coming across something that I just don't understand, I think, how did they come up with that? I look at those common questions, and 9 times out of 10, that's the question I'm having. So that's a great tool to use too. You'll see vocabulary here, any handouts if there are some, so those are offline handouts. But my favorite part of the lesson plans is probably the planning notes and teaching and learning strategies. This is where I can really come in and get some really good ideas for how I want to structure that lesson. There's also some pacing information about that too, about the lesson itself. But this is going to go over and above what you're seeing in the CodeHS course and talk about some other ways to structure your lesson. Additionally, if I scroll down, I'm going to see some discussion questions here too. So I'm going to have beginning of class questions and end of class. Now, remember the questions that I asked. This is where I got them from. Find the median and mode of the following data set, except I didn't have you find the median and mode. You sort of did. Find the mean, or what is the mean, and what is the outlier, or is there an outlier? But there's definitely some great options here for some of those openers or closers. Sometimes I look at those and I think, well, that's a good question, but I can take it here, and I go somewhere completely different with it. Great place to come for a little bit of inspiration on your lesson planning. And then also towards the end of the lesson, you're going to see some possibilities for some modifications for various populations in your classroom. So do you have some advanced students who are just flying through things? Here's some options for them. Do you have some special education students who are in this course? Here's some options for them as well. Some ways to scaffold your course. And then ELL modifications here, or ELL suggested modifications as well. So lesson plans are an amazing tool. We definitely wanted to give you access to that so you can see that during this workshop. So next, what we really want all you to do is it's going to be your turn. So we want you to take some time to look through those previous lessons in the data science module. We want you to just kind of explore. And what I would recommend is go ahead, go all the way back to that first lesson, take a look at that. Now, because we are starting to get short on time, I'm going to rearrange how we're doing this just a little bit. So, Joni, if you could take a moment and go ahead and set up some breakout rooms for me. I apologize, I'm doing that in a little weird order, but I thought, let's just do this together, I think. We'll give you time to talk. So I think sometimes I know that's often one of the most valuable parts about a workshop is when you get time to network with other teachers and hear what are they doing? What is happening there? So we're going to get some breakout rooms set up. Don't open them just yet, Joni. I'm going to skip past a few. And I'm also going to show you this. So once you've gotten to explore some of those lessons, and we're going to give you some time to do this, or explore that first lesson in the data science unit, we'd love for you to head out to this Padlet. And, oh, thanks, Joni. Joni is doing it all. I just made her do breakout rooms and said, hey, throw this into chat. She's handling it. So go ahead and grab that link for the Padlet. I think I have it open. I'll show you what's on there. So this first area here is for you to talk about how you might use the data science course. Are there specific things you might do with data science lesson components? Is there something you would add to it? Is there maybe a custom feature you'd like to add? You'll notice that this Padlet is actually something that I added into your workshop section. Is there something you could use like that? Or is there just anything else that came up during your group discussions that you'd like to share? How might you use this? These last little pieces are for hopefully some time we'll spend in the AI course, but go ahead and jot any of your thoughts down. So again, our plan is for you to, with your breakout groups, go ahead and explore maybe that first lesson in that first module of data science. If you want to check out some other things, that's great. If there's other things you'd like to chat about around data science, you can do that too. You're certainly not going to come into the room and say, you're not exploring, what are you doing? Do what is valuable to you in your groups, and that'll be great. But go ahead, grab that QR code, open up that Padlet, and put your thoughts there. We would love to share with the whole group. That's definitely something that we won't have go away. I'll keep that Padlet alive. So if there are some really cool ideas there, or you want to share something later, you can do that. So we're going to explore, we're going to discuss, we're going to add to the Padlet, and we're going to do that for probably 10 minutes, I think. So if during that time you feel like, we've had enough of data science, it's totally okay if you want to head into that Intro to AI course and check that out too. We've got the first module there as well. All right, questions? Cool. All right, Joni, let's go ahead and open up those breakout rooms.
All right. Got 3 rooms, about 7 people in each room. And, oops, got it.
Send us a message if you have questions. Have fun. Welcome back, everybody. We hope that that was valuable time for you with some other teachers who are looking at using data science or Intro to AI. And I know we didn't have a ton of time for AI, but we're definitely inviting you to take a look at that AI first module and start exploring that. Remember, that one is the one that's very accessible to any student, where you're really going to be exploring what is AI, what are some of the implications of it, et cetera. But what we really wanted you to be thinking about here is, what are some things to think about as you're starting to plan how you might teach data science or how you might teach AI? And what are some things you might do that can help your students as they start to get into this material? And this might be something that you're very new to. And so take some time to go through the course and really start exploring those activities. One other thing I'll point out, and we're going to get ready in just a moment to jump into our final breakout session. of our time together today. And I want to jump back out to the course catalog for a minute. So if you want to enroll in either of these courses to actually see what else is here, what are these activities that we're going to see? When you go to the course catalog, go ahead and search for that course, and you're going to see a button that says enroll. You can enroll in any of our CodeHS courses, including AI and data science, and you can actually go through it as a student. So it enrolls you as a student. So you can work through the course that way. So that's a great way to actually learn the material, experiment with these Python concepts, and experiment with the ideas of AI and data science as well. All right. Now, if you do need a break, we kind of rolled our break right into the breakout session. So if you do need a break, no worries. What we're going to be doing for this last portion of our workshop is to let you take the opportunity to join one of our breakout rooms. Yes.
No, that.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So we're going to give you the opportunity to choose your breakout room. Joni is going to be in one of our rooms, and she's going to tell us how to customize the CodeHS courses. She's going to give you a quick overview of that. So I think especially with courses like, well, with any of the courses, it's great to be able to pull in things that you would use with your other courses too. You've got a ton of things in your teacher toolbox. We want you to know how to pull those in and how to pull in additional CodeHS content and customize that content so that's there for you. In the other breakout room, if you'd like to chat with other teachers, talk about the courses a bit more, you can definitely pop into that second breakout room. I'll be joining that room, and MR will be popping in there as soon as we get people squared away with rooms. And we will be answering questions, or you can just take some time to work through some more exercises. If you want to talk about how best to use the content, and things like that, that'll be in breakout room number 2. So I would love if we are ready, MR, if you want to open up those rooms. This time you get the option to choose the room you want to join. You might need to click on that breakout room link in Zoom and go ahead and choose your room. If you need help choosing a room, go ahead and drop us a note. You can drop the note in chat this time. That's totally fine. Once you open that, you should be able to click join next to the room of your choice. I'm going to jump over to the chat, and I'll see y'all later.